It seems for the past 2 or 3 years, the Boston Celtics have been right there, right on the edge of being able to get over the hump and finally get that championship. In 2019, they made it all the way to the conference finals before falling to the Heat. And then in 2022, they made it all the way to the finals. And in 2023, just this past season, they lost to the Heat again in the conference finals. So it makes you wonder, like, what exactly is this team missing to finally get over the hump? They've repeatedly made it the distance in the playoffs, but they're just missing something small. And this is my personal opinion. It's going to be a hot take, but I personally think they should have done that 1-for-1 trade for Jason Tatum and KD a couple years ago when it was offered. And I know Jason Tatum is only 25. He has plenty of years left to grow before he actually enters his real prime. But I think if you take that squad and put KD on that roster, you would have got those championships. But since that's no longer on the table, we got to look into how are we going to make this team grow. So looking into this offseason, we can start with what the Celtics lost. They lost Marcus Smart, Grant Williams, Mike Muscala, Danilo Gallinari, and a 35th pick. None of these guys are really difference makers outside of Marcus Smart. So without Marcus Smart there, I know he wasn't the greatest shot taker, but he's always been the primary playmaker for this team, who often gets trapped in ISO situations. It's more of a Jason Tatum, Jaylen Brown, it's your turn. No, it's my turn scoring situation. And Marcus Smart was the only one facilitating and actually setting up these plays. And he was giving you great defense from the guard position. So I'm wondering what they're going to really do to replace this, because that's a big hole to fill. Who's going to be facilitating? Do you want the ball more in Jason Tatum's hands for the majority of the game? Because we know, especially in high pressure games, Jason Tatum can become a little bit of a turnover machine. Grant Williams have been moved to the Mavericks. I'm not really sure what this move is for the Mavericks, because you don't really get a lot out of that. Like, he's a decent three-point shooter and a decent defender, but I guess you do need to fill out that roster. There's a lot of holes in Dallas. But for the Celtics, I don't think losing Grant Williams really meant a lot. I think it was more of an emotional loss than an actual talent loss. So this offseason, you haven't really lost too much, outside of the Marcus Smart situation. But I think there's a lot of guards on the market still who can fill those roles. I also read that they may be looking into getting Alex Caruso from the Bulls in a Payton Pritchard trade, and I like that. I think Alex Caruso can do all the things Marcus Smart can do, maybe at a little bit of a higher level, especially from scoring. He's a great three-point shooter. Now, the big news, of course, is Kristaps Porzingis. This was a great acquisition. And before we even get into the actual skill set of Porzingis, let's talk about the size that this team is going to have going into next season. So I don't expect Robert Williams to be coming off the bench. I think Al Horford will probably get moved to the bench role, and we're going to see Kristaps play either the 4 or the 5, and the same with Robert Williams. They may be interchanged, but I do expect to see them on the floor a lot together. So that means you're going to have a 6'8 Jason Tatum out there, a 6'6 Jaylen Brown, a 6'4 Derek White, 6'9 Robert Williams, and a 7'3 Kristaps Porzingis. That is insane. That just shows you what direction the NBA is moving in now. You're going to see a lot of big guards, big forwards, big wings. And defense was one of those areas that people were like, oh, Joe Mazzulla really dropped the ball because Ime instilled this culture of defense on the team that's not really there anymore. At least we didn't see as much of, or as an intense level of defense last season. But with this type of size, Mazzulla should be able to have an excellent defensive floor. Porzingis is a great shot blocker. You still got Robert Williams. Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown can hold their own out there too. So I expect to see the defensive intensity raise a lot for this team. They're going to be a top 3 defense going into this season. And I am a fan of the draft pick Jordan Walsh. He has a lot of talent. He has a lot of defensive talent. He's a great shooter. He has no eyebrows, but other than that, I think he's going to be really good for this team. I think he's going to get some PT coming into this season, and I know it's only summer league, but from what I can see, a lot of those things are going to translate. Those role player skills are going to translate. Now, is this enough to reach the heights that the Celtics have been striving for? Well, let's look around. So in the East, have the Bucks gotten any better? No. Have the Miami Heat gotten better? No. Now, if Miami does manage to pull off this Dame trade, I don't know how likely it is, but they're going to be the clear-cut favorites to win the East. But as for now, I don't see a team that's better than the Celtics in the East. So them not making it out of at least the East, that would be entirely on them. Because talent-wise, they surpass everybody else in that conference. They're better than the Knicks. They're better than the Bucks. They're better than the Heat as of right now. We'll have to see this unit play some more games in the regular season before we can come firm on that, but I think the fit is pretty good. Now let's get into the West. You already know the Nuggets are coming out of the West. That's clear cut. The Suns are looking absolutely monstrous. The Lakers have been retooling, and they look like they're going to be elite, at least a top 4, top 5 seed going into next season. Are the Celtics better than any of these teams in the West? No, absolutely not. I do expect them to be a 1 or 2 seed in the East and definitely make it to the conference finals or even the finals. But unless Jason Tatum or Jaylen Brown take a monstrous leap, just like their salaries are about to take a monstrous leap, I just don't see them being able to beat someone like Denver or the Suns or the Lakers in a 7-game series. Maybe the Lakers, but the Suns and the Nuggets, the way they're looking right now, probably not. And as far as like what does this team need, I don't know if it's a player that they need. Like if they could get Dame for maybe Jaylen Brown, like that would be great. But is it really a player that they're missing? They have decent role players at every single position. I think really what it comes down to is you need Jason Tatum to be as good as everybody thinks he is or think he can be. Because at his current level, he won't be enough. Especially in these late game stretches, you know, him and Jaylen Brown have these tendencies to turn the ball over. They get kind of deflated. They lose confidence in themselves when things aren't going right. They become a little bit inconsistent with their shooting. So those are small things I think the team can work on, and they might have a chance. I just would probably give it more like a 5% chance of them even winning a championship. I think more than likely Denver's going to repeat, or maybe we'll see the Suns and Kevin Durant finally win a ring without Steph. But for the best chance for the Celtics to win, make sure you like and subscribe. Nah, I'm just playing. But in all honesty, we're going to need to see Jaylen Brown or Jason Tatum take that next leap. Or you're going to be looking at trading one of the stars. And with a $300 million contract, that's going to be kind of difficult. That's a big contract to move and a big contract to commit to. So how much time do you think you're going to give this core to figure it out? And when I say core, I mean just the 2 Js. Like, do you give them 2 more years, 3 more years? Do you give them the remainder of this upcoming contract? Maybe trade them on the last year of their contract if you guys continue to not get past the conference finals and not make it over the hump? How long would you guys give it? Do you think Kristaps was a missing piece as far as making this a championship roster? Do you think Marcus Smart was too much of a loss? Are they going to be able to make up some of the playmaking they lose with losing him? How far into the postseason do you see this team going? Let me know in the comments below. Remember to like, subscribe. I reply to everybody in the comments. Let's talk ball.